Yo, what is up guys? Del Boy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith. All set, all official for December the 19th. This fight is at 168, super middleweight, and Callum Smith's WBA super middleweight title will be on the line in this bout. Now, what do we make of this fight? First and foremost, I'm not sitting here saying it's a bad fight. I don't think it is. I think it's a relatively good fight. It's a decent opponent for Canelo on paper. Callum Smith on paper is unbeaten. He's a champion. He's a very big dude for 168. He's like 6'3", which is crazy for a super middleweight. So Callum Smith certainly does bring some attributes to the table that are interesting in this fight. Mainly his size, his strength, and even his punching power. Callum Smith certainly has a few things going into this fight, but for whatever reason, when this fight was announced, it never really got me like that. It never really got me excited. I never got that sort of big fight feeling or anything like that. Maybe I'm just jaded by the Canelo Alvarez rigmarole. Maybe it's that, there's a lot of talk when Canelo fights, not just about the fight itself, but the circumstances surrounding the fights, judging, drug testing, rehydration clauses, how long fighters get to train, all of these issues come up routinely in Canelo Alvarez fights. Maybe it's that's just kind of killed my mood for this fight. And I certainly have those same complaints or same concerns in regards to Canelo fights and even this fight with Callum Smith. First and foremost, 4 weeks notice for Callum Smith. Now, a lot of people say, well, if you're a professional athlete, you should be in shape all year round and you should be ready for any fight. I totally agree, in a sense. There's a big difference between taking over, staying in good shape, and actually training for a specific opponent. If you're Callum Smith and you've got no fight scheduled, but there's a slight chance you could get a Canelo fight, are you going to spend thousands of pounds setting up camp just in the hope that Canelo Alvarez calls you in order to make a fight? Are you going to spend thousands of pounds on nutritionists, sports scientists, etc., just in the hope that you get a big fight? Like I said, there's a big difference between staying in shape and preparing for a mega fight like this. There's a big difference. Certain sparring partners are required. Those come at a cost. You're not going to just do that willy-nilly for no reason, spending thousands of pounds. It's not going to happen. You need to tailor your sparring to your opponent, and Callum Smith only has 4 weeks to do that. Objectively, it's a legitimate grievance going into this fight. Again, I'm not saying this is a bad fight. I don't think it is. I think it's a pretty solid fight for Canelo, a solid opponent. But to me, I just have a few concerns, one of which being the training time for Callum Smith preparing for this fight. Again, you don't prepare for a certain fight year round just in the hope you get it. You stay in shape all year round and you do get sparring all year round, but you don't prepare for one particular guy all year round when no fight is scheduled. That's complete nonsense as far as I'm concerned. And another thing that I'm concerned about is a potential rehydration clause. As we know, Callum Smith is a massive 168 pounder. He's huge for super middleweight. And a rehydration clause in this fight really wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't shock me. That's another thing that's in the back of my mind going into this one. If we recall the Sergey Kovalev fight, there was a lot of talk in regards to that fight about a rehydration clause, and essentially it wasn't confirmed until fight week. That's when we knew for sure that there was a rehydration clause, and once again, that took a big shine off that fight. So naturally, going into this fight against a big guy like Callum Smith, I have that same concern. Will Callum Smith be himself? Will he be depleted? Will he be undergoing a rehydration clause? Or is he free to rehydrate and be healthy? Again, that's a legitimate concern going into this fight when you take into account Canelo's history with weights, whether it be catch weights or rehydration clauses. Again, this is not unreasonable. This is not an unreasonable concern, in my opinion. It really isn't. And obviously there are other general concerns like judging and officiating, things like that. But to be fair to Canelo, that just isn't at Canelo. That's in regards to any sort of prime time, a platinum star fighter. Those big money makers. Anytime these guys fight, you've always got to be concerned about judging in their favour, and that's not just at Canelo, but once again, it is something else to think about in my opinion. And obviously, Callum Smith going into this fight, let's be honest, not in the greatest form. Yeah, you could say he's unbeaten, he's a world champion, blah, blah, blah. But look, man, you got to watch these fights. Look at Callum Smith's last fight against John Ryder. He struggled mightily against the much smaller John Ryder, a former middleweight. John Ryder beat him and got robbed in that fight. He was out jabbing Callum Smith, who was 7 inches taller than him? And he was losing the jab battle to John Ryder. He was getting worked on the inside by John Ryder. He struggled with John Ryder's style, the smaller man, the compact man, the guy who could get on the inside and work. He struggled with the bodywork of Ryder. How's he going to deal with Canelo, who does everything that John Ryder does well, but a million times better? And maybe that's the main hang-up I've got in regards to this fight, the John Ryder fight. To me, Callum Smith should have avenged that fight, made it right, He should have gone back in there and fought John Ryder again. If he went back in there and knocked John Ryder out, I think I would actually be much more receptive to this fight. But how they dealt with that situation and how they just left it, to me, just left a bad taste in my mouth, I've got to be honest. And here he goes into the Canelo Alvarez fight with a 4-week training camp essentially, coming off his worst career performance, a year out of a ring, in Texas. Yeah, I'm not feeling this fight like some people are. It's just that simple. I'm not feeling it like that. Maybe as it gets closer, I'll get more excited. But right now, something about it is just not doing it for me. I'll certainly watch it, don't get me wrong. I'll certainly make a prediction, make a post-fight review. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad fight. Callum Smith is pretty good. He's a pretty solid fighter. Big dude especially. Really big guy. Big strong guy. But yeah, something about it is just not clicking with me. It's not really working for me right now. Maybe I'll feel different nearer the time. But how do you guys feel about this fight? Do you have the same feeling as me? A little bit, on the fence about it? A little bit concerned about a few aspects? Or are you really looking forward to it? I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts. Maybe I'm on my own in regards to my concerns or my grievances with this fight. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, just something about this fight is just not really landing with me right now. But I am intrigued to hear your thoughts on this one. Do you give Callum Smith any real chance whatsoever going into this bout? He would certainly need to produce a career best performance, in my opinion. He would need to show us things that he's not shown us so far in his career. And yeah, I'm not convinced that Callum Smith really has the tools to beat Canelo. He's certainly got the size to make it difficult, and he's certainly got some power, but I don't think he's got the skill set to go with it to necessarily beat Canelo. But yeah, share your thoughts below. Maybe I'll change my tune nearer the time, maybe, but we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, yeah, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy, peace.